Welcome, guys. How are you? How's everybody doing today? Well, we'd like to welcome you guys to this event that we put together. I want to first say thank you to Hashem for allowing us this opportunity to make such an event. This event, I believe, is very important for our community. It's something this community doesn't really talk much about. And I feel like definitely it's time to, get the show rolling and get people to talk about it and get it to talk about it in a positive way. I'd like to thank the people who came. Thank you for making the time to come here. I know it's hard. It's a weekday. We try to get a weekend, but you do what you can with what you have. So just a little introduction to what we're doing. We're doing mental health awareness, and the basic topic is stop the stigma. So unfortunately, in our community, there's a lot of stigmas that come along with mental health, and most of the time, stigmas come because there's a lot of misinformation and not a lot of education about the subject. So we're going to be touching on speakers, Brooklyn, basically Brooklyn. A lot of my jobs right now are taking care of many things. I now division with young people. I say there's a lot of mental health problems in our community. So we're looking to help people out. So we have speaker Rabbi Block from Chabad of Riga Park is here. He's going to be speaking. He's been a rabbi here for a very long time, and he knows a lot about our community, especially the Bahrain community. So he's going to be one of the speakers. We have another speaker, Rabbi Goodmacher. He's a master social worker, and he's with Emet for 10 years, and now he has his own yeshiva, the teacher in yeshiva, and he's also going to be speaking. And I would like to introduce you guys the co-founders of Yesudot. We have Daniel and Diana Rachnai. I'm saying that right. So they are the co-founders of Yesudot, and we came together with Yesudot to make this event happen. So what Yesudot is, it's an organization that they deal and tackle with mental health illnesses and mental health issues. So I'm gonna give them the time. They're gonna speak about what they do and how, what exactly they want to do for our community. But I just want to say a little bit about them for what I know about them. So they had a lot of things planned right before COVID, and then COVID unfortunately came and it kind of derailed everything. So may you guys have the opportunity to do something the way I know you told me when we had our meeting. You guys have that opportunity to do it. They're also the two of them going to be speaking today. But I want to do a special thank you to Nissan Yusupov. He's sitting right there. He is one of those. He's not speaking tonight. But I came to him with this idea a few months ago. And a few months ago, he told me maybe we're not ready yet as a community. Maybe there's a lot of things that need to be put together in order for this thing to work out. So we didn't do anything a few months ago. But we got, recently with what's been happening with drugs in our community, drug overdoses, even suicides in our community. He just gave me that look one day in shul. He's like, I think it's time we do something. And we're not focusing on drugs in this event per se, but we believe that a lot of mental health issues, they start with mental health, and then that's when drugs become an issue. So hopefully we will be sending a message today. And when I came to Nissan with this, I had a plan. Unfortunately, it didn't work out exactly the way I thought it would, but I think it even came out better. So what I wanted to do is just start getting people together and start, making the social groups and stuff like that about mental health, about, finally getting awareness out there, getting people to talk about it. But Nissan kind of told me, in order to do that, I think first we need to spread awareness. And how you do that? Something like this. And we came to Rabbi Block, and then we met with Yesudot, and we came together to do something. So how do I fit into the equation? I'm a nurse. Yes, I deal with mental health. Yes, but also I'm a mental health patient of my. I'm by myself a mental health patient. The past year, unfortunately, I've been suffering from mental health disorders, panic disorder, anxiety disorder, depression, unfortunately. And through my experiences, through what I've been through, I wanted to help people through what I learned. It wasn't easy to go through what I went through. There was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of times where I didn't know what was going on with me. And in the beginning, it was very hard for me to come and ask for help because I just didn't know I needed it. I was so many times sitting in the shul, just lost in my own world. And I had no idea what was going on with me. And I struggled. There was a lot of things that happened last year, especially COVID. And after COVID, there was riots and there was so many, kids at home. I have 3 kids, I have a wife. It's not so simple, all of you at home at once. I work because I'm a nurse and I still have to take care of patients, but my job went down to 1 or 2 patients a day compared to the 5 or 6 I had before. So it hit me hard. And at one point, I was very lost. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know how to get help. So I just wanted to tell one story that kind of came my way during this whole situation that I had with me. And it was on July 8th. I'm never going to forget the date. July 8th, I'm sitting there. It's about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm staring at the ceiling because at that point, I haven't slept in about a month. They call it insomnia. I thought, you know what? I have a lot of things going on in my mind. I can't sleep. It happens. So I was looking up the ceiling. My wife was laying next to me sleeping, and I'm just staring. I have so many things going on in my head, and I basically can't go to sleep with all these things bothering me. So at that point, I close my eyes, and I say a prayer to Hashem. I say, Hashem, tomorrow, please, no matter what, tomorrow, the best day ever. Please, just, I don't care how, I don't care why. Best day tomorrow, please. Just do this for me, please. Tomorrow, just the best day, because I need this day tomorrow so it could give me good positivity to continue on for the rest of the week. It was Wednesday, Thursday, Shabbat was coming up. So that's what I prayed for. I didn't sleep. Morning came, my alarm rang, I went to shul, dropped off my kids, dropped off my wife, went to work. Unfortunately, it was not a great day. I was probably, if you ask me, I probably felt the worst that day I've ever felt in my life. But then ask me what I was feeling. And the reason that I understood that it's something more than just what I created in my head is I started shaking. So I started from the beginning. I was driving my car, I was finishing up my patients, and it hit me that I can't drive anymore. I literally couldn't drive. I was like, this is going to be an accident right now because I was shaking so hard, the wheel was going out of control, and I pulled over. And as I pulled over, I just started to scream out. And I started screaming, Hashem, Hashem. And I started screaming because I didn't know what was going on. I was trembling in fear. Nothing was going on. I was working, but I was shaking. Every bone in my body, every limb in my body was shaking. And I had no idea what was going on with me. So I just started screaming, Hashem, what are you doing to me? I asked for a great day. This is not a great day. This is the exact opposite. What are you doing to me? Please, just something. Do something. And as I'm screaming, I'm getting worse. And at this point, there's thousands of thoughts entering my head, and I'm going crazy. And I'm parked on the side of the highway, on the van with about to exit to get to my house. And there was nothing I could do. I couldn't drive anymore. So at that point, it was the first time in my whole life, I would say, I felt despair. I felt like there was no way out. I felt like there was nothing I could do to better myself, to help me in the situation. I didn't have any medications on me to, like they say, the tranquilizers, medications. I was basically lost, and I had nowhere to turn. So I gave a call to my sister because I didn't know where to turn to, and I was like, I need to do something, or else it's going to be really bad. So I gave a call to my sister, and my sister said, listen, Mike, you need help. You can't just keep doing this on your own. You haven't slept in a month. You've been completely out of it. You got to do something about it. You can't just keep doing what you're doing thinking you're just going to get better. It doesn't work like that. Do something. So I made an appointment with my primary care doctor that day because it was so urgent. And at that point, no matter whatever he was telling me, it just slipped right through my ears. I didn't care. I didn't want to hear it. I just give me something to make me feel better right now. I don't care about anything else. Unfortunately, he didn't do that. He told me, if I were you, I would see a psychiatrist. He said, I think you reached the point where you need that kind of help. So that's what I did. I went to see a psychiatrist. And the first thing my psychiatrist told me was like, I'm very happy you came to see me. Not a lot of men come see me. A lot of women do, but not a lot of men. So he's like, I applaud you for that. The fact that you're here and you're, taking the steps to make yourself better. And that kind of, when you're kind of anxiety and panic at that moment, you're like, why? You trying to say I'm a girl or something? Like, like it just hit me that way. Like, what are you trying to say bad about me? But the thing is, he was just trying to help me. And the thing that I got most out of my experience is the fact that you're never alone. When you're going through something like this, you need to know that you're never alone. I thankfully had a very good support system. I have my friends here who's even supporting me here today as my first public speaking event. Hope I'm doing a good job. But I had, thankfully, my wife was sitting right there with the camera staring at me. She helped me a lot. I had a very good support system. And most important support system is Hashem. And just to go back to the beginning of my story, I asked Hashem for the greatest day ever. At that point, I thought it was the worst day of my life, and I figured out it was the best day of my life. That's the day I figured out I needed help. And I got help. And that's how I came out of it. Just 3 weeks ago, I took my last dosage of medication for my problems. I took the medication for about 11 months. And my doctor told me, he's like, I don't have a magic pill. It's not going to cure you. It's not going to, you're going to have to deal with this. But if you do exactly, he gave me 10 steps. I wrote them down. I'm like, I don't want to miss anything that you say. And whatever the 10 steps he did, I did exactly those things. He told me to read a book, I read a book. He told me start eating this way, I ate that way. Lose weight, I lost weight. I didn't care. I just wanted to be better. I had a wife, 3 kids. I had nowhere to go. I had to get better. That's exactly what I did. But in order to do that, you need the proper help. You need the proper guidance. And that's what I had. And that's what I want to avail this community. I want this community to understand that, yes, there are stigmas involved with mental health. That's why it took me so long to get help. Because when I came to people, they didn't know. So they told me, it's all in your head. Be a man. Get tougher. What's wrong with you? And that derailed me. How does that make a person feel? I'll be a man, but I'm not a man. Just because I'm going through something, I don't know what it is. I got help. And then I think that was the man part. Where I went and I realized I had a problem and needed solving. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for hearing out my story. And I only hope the best for this community.
First of all, Mike, it's a very hard act to follow. This is your first time, and I can't imagine what you're going to do for the next time because you covered all the bases. I'm done. So, first of all, to the organizers, I'm really happy. I'm happy this happened. I'm happy you put this together. Proud, thankful that you gave me the opportunity to be part of it as well. I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a social worker, but I've been in the community, like I said, many years, and the following is going to be primarily my observations, really, of what I see and some of the thoughts. So I wanted to start off with the following. A few days ago, Sunday, was the Gimel Shabbat Tammuz, the third of Tammuz, Rebbe's Yahrzeit, and I wanted to share something with you that was recorded in a book that he put together called Hayom Yom, Daily Thoughts, Divrei Torah, and so on. So this was written much before, obviously, Pastor was in 1943. But he says the following thing is really appropriate for that day and today as well, which is the sigh, Jew sighs, the sigh of a Jew, even if it's coming from a place of material difficulty. He's not sighing, oh, I miss Krishna, or he's sighing because life is hard. It's just really hard. Mental, physical, material, things are difficult. And people thought, accept everything, but you know what? That's easier said than done. But it just says that's also tshuva. That's also good, especially if it's motivated by spiritual reasons, like you said. But let's stick to the first part of it. And I think, and there he concludes that sigh can pull a person out of a very deep, dark place. And I think the reason for this, without really going very much deep into it, is because the first part of getting of a solution is really recognizing that there's a problem. And obviously, as a Jew, you recognize there's a problem, like you said very eloquently. You also recognize that your help was going to come from Hashem. But if you don't recognize that you have a problem, and like you said, oh, whatever, that's not recognizing someone. That's called delusion. And that's just on the contrary, in a certain way, it's denial of Hashem, because you deny that Hashem put you into this problem, in this situation, that He also therefore is giving you the ability to deal with it. Most of us rather not accept that we have a problem, which in certain ways denying that somehow Hashem is involved in our life in very deep ways. Like you said, the worst day turned around into the best day, as it were. So as you mentioned also, because this is something we discussed, there's a lot of focus on rightfully so, on drug addiction. And like you said as well, it's a larger, it's part of a larger problem. So I think we have to step back. We have to look at the larger picture. We have to ask ourselves, how as a community do we look at mental illness? How do we think? What do we think about it? Can we recognize it? How many of us know the signs of mental illness? How do we respond to it? How do we deal with it? Not as an individual, but as a community. These are really, really important questions. This goes to the core. So this is not just another look. This is about having a real conversation as a community of where are we and where are we going with this? How can we move this somehow? How can we move the arrow forward? So you start with the individuals. That's how everything is. People who want to be part of the solution. And I think, my observations are threefold, really, breaking up into three separate things, and some of these things actually touched upon, which is stigma. So this community, I'm not an honorary Bukharian Jew by now, I guess after 25 years, very close-knit. And I mean that in the best possible way. I'm not saying it cynically. It's very close in the community. Everybody's there for everybody all the time. And it's tremendous. It is really tremendous. I've been here to the nursing homes, not many Bahraini Jews in nursing homes, unless they have a really, really advanced, because everybody, families stay together generationally. And that's tremendous strength. That can also have its challenges, which is everybody has an opinion about everybody else. Whether you ask for the opinion, you don't ask for the opinion, everybody has an opinion and they'll tell you your opinion. And that's what it is, especially if it's somebody that is older. So I think the starting point is really, it's very important, which you also touched upon, which is, and I'm speaking in terms of, though there are people here that are not married, in terms primarily those that are unmarried. Your first responsibility is to your immediate family. It's to your wife and to your children. Yes, respect your parents. But this is going to sound really a little bit rough. Their opinion is important, but it doesn't matter in this regard. In other words, when making a decision, what is important to you, your well-being, and the well-being of your wife and your children. Everybody has his opinion. You can listen to it. You can answer it. It doesn't matter, because you can't live your life based on that the decisions that you make have to be first and foremost the best decisions for you and your family in the immediate, in the now, in the present. Two, and this is going to sound funny coming from a rabbi, but there was a comedian that died recently, a year ago, and the truth is, I wasn't going to say everybody knows who it is, any rabbi who was very talented, but he also had tremendous mental health issues. So there's a statement that's attributed to him, and actually I used part of that statement in my WhatsApp status, which is, you don't know what problems people are carrying around. Be kind always. So it sounds like a meme. But for us, it says that the Gemara, the Jews have three qualifications, right? Rachmanim, Rachmanim. You have to have Rachmanot. What's it with all? Now we have Rachmanot for everybody. Our own people, not so much. No. It has to stop. Being kind is being kind. No, I put in $5 in the question. It's an understanding. Everybody's dealing with so much. Cut them some slack. Cut them some slack. They're dealing with it. They're dealing with hopefully the best way they know how. And just give that to them. And I think that's really when we speak about stigma, it has to start with ourselves and it has to start with the people around us to get this message out. What? Okay, let's live by what we preach, which is being a Jew is about having a rachmanut. So I think that is the starting point. Second point, I think it's also an important one, which is that Baruch Hashem, the community over the years that I've been here have grown tremendously in Tshuva, in becoming more Orthodox. And when I moved here 25 years ago, you didn't really see all that many people in the Pachat. It's amazing. It's wow. This synagogue, when I was here, you have one or two. The Gabriel was just starting literally, and now you have in every corner. People are returning to their roots. But I think there's a couple of important points here. One of them that you mentioned, which is the following: that going to a lecture, this one or any other, or saying Tehillim is not going to solve your mental health issues. Say Tehillim. But you can wish it away. You can just be a little bit more religious. Maybe go to mikvah next time. It's nice. Different conversation. You need to go to a specialist. And as much as people come to me for advice, you come to me for advice to hear, you know what? You need to see a specialist. Rabbi is not going to be able to solve this problem for you, unless he almost happens to be a psychologist. So that is an important matter. Rabbis have their limits. Mental health, mostly, is right up there. Another very important point, which is also something that happens in families where you have both the desire to grow as a family in observance and mental health. It can be a very toxic mixture, which is where there's a lot of chaos, a lot of trauma, because one of the spouses embraced, Judaism, and he wants everybody to grow, and also has an issue, and that reflects itself in the way that he wants his children to be, and that's not always healthy. In other words, the family, the wife, the children, or the husband and the children need to, first and foremost, the responsibility of either the husband and or the wife is that the family lives in a healthy, peaceful, loving atmosphere. Then they will love God and people. If one of the spouses has a mental health issue that's not being addressed, that's not going to happen. The result is there's going to be trauma, there's going to be chaos, and unfortunately, not always, but often, the children that grow up in a home like this are emotionally stunted. They don't know what it means to have a normal relationship with people and with God. So if they become observant, they're very tight and there's so much going on. Or in some cases, they don't want to have anything to do with Judaism, because for them it's only trauma, it's only anxiety, it's only fear, it's everything that it shouldn't be. So I'm not speaking to anybody specifically, but you ask me as an observation, there is some of that as well. And this leads me to the third point, which also you covered. I don't want to hear. Which is, if what you want as a parent is for the children to grow up with a healthy understanding and a healthy belief in God, that starts with being an example. And the example is that I, your parent, am human. Who would have thought? And like everybody else, I have things that I'm struggling with. But you know what? I believe in God, and I know He will help me. And I have the humility to acknowledge and admit that I need help. That is not a sign of that is a sign of a God-fearing Jew, of a believing Jew. Because otherwise, you don't believe that you have an issue that came from God or where it comes from, and that you don't believe that God can actually help you. So It doesn't mean necessarily sharing all of the details of the issue with the kids. Obviously, it's no, that's not, that's what the psychologist decided between people individually. But that the kids know that something's not well with Abba. They'll figure that if you haven't slept in a month, they know there's something going on with Abba. But now they know that Abba is better. And you can tell them, you know what, I was going to somebody, but Hashem sent me a sign that, you know, I need help. And you know what you're going to do? When they hopefully won't, but possibly will, themselves be in a situation, they'll have somebody to have a real example of what strength is, as opposed to repeating the same cycle of trauma and dysfunction generation to generation. It doesn't have to be. We don't need to gift this to our children. It needs to stop somewhere. So again, not specific mentioning names, but I think we can all relate to at least some of what I said here, which is that this stigma exists on many levels, has to end with us. We need to be able to spread the word. And I salute you for the courage and the strength of making it happen. I hope everybody here is just not here as part of the just listen, but also part of the solution as well. Thank you very much. And,
Ladies and gentlemen of the good office, please welcome.
Right. Thank you so much for having me tonight. It's really an honor to be here and to be part again of the Holy Buchanan community. I know it's not just for Buchanan, but I know we're outnumbered here. I myself, I'm not Buchanan, but I've been working in Queens 10 years with med outreach. Now after that, that was like started 15 years ago. And 5 years ago, I decided to focus more on kids at risk because I realized that although it's beautiful to bring people close to God, there's a lot of people who fall away from God in our own community, and that there was nobody to help, nobody to go to. So I like 3 years ago, I started yeshiva. It closed during Corona, but I started yeshiva for kids at risk. And it were all kids who were severely abused or who felt a stigma in their community, and who basically, if I hadn't taken them with me, they would be just in the street taking drugs and just trying to find some kind of escape, magic potion to feel better. So, so I'm very honored. Thank you, Rabbi, for opening your synagogue, and this Sodot for connecting me with this great initiative. So there were a lot of things that were said already, and like I'm bursting out. Like there's so many things I want to say and share. I will try to be concise. Obviously, this is just the beginning and the opening to much more conversation. But I think there's certain things that maybe I can add to our previous awesome speakers. I want to start with a quote from one of my great inspiration teacher that I knew personally, was Rabbi Avraham Tversky Zatzal, was a very great rabbi and psychologist. So he said in one of his books, just want to quote, but one psychologist writes, if you have given your child self-esteem, you have given him everything. If you have not given him self-esteem, then whatever else you gave him is of little value. So dealing with mental health and dealing with whatever struggle we go through starts already as children. And if you ask me, what's the potential, the percentage of healthy, balanced, normal families, I don't know. I think it's very little. And I always tell all my students and all my friends, everybody needs therapy. Everybody, even the rabbis, everybody needs to have someone. What it means to have therapy doesn't mean that there's a problem, there's a thing. It means that we are here as human beings in this world to work on ourselves and to grow physically, emotionally, intellectually, and spiritually. And unless we understand that we need to work on those four, then it's going to affect us in the long term. So everybody needs a mentor. Everybody needs someone where he feels safe to speak, where he feels he can share his experience. In the past, Jews always had their rabbi. The rabbi was like a father. According to Halacha, a rabbi has the din of a father. He has to take care of his family like his sons. When rabbis used to teach in the classroom, every child is his own child, and he has to help this soul grow. And that's why there's even a halakha from the Gemara that a Jewish classroom cannot have more than 24 students, because you have more than 24 students for one rabbi, he's not going to be able to pay attention to each individual needs and help him grow according to his own way, apidarko. Everybody has own needs. So today, this has been lost a little bit because of the system we live in. But there's two main points that I want to focus on. One is the idea that what differentiates us as Jews than the non-Jewish approach to mental illness and stigma. As Jews, we understand that there's not just a brain and a way how to think of the way the body works. We know that there's also a soul. And we as Jews, we also deal with the human being with that soul aspect. The Rambam says in Shmona Prakim that he calls our midot, he says that he explains that the character traits that we have, the bad character traits that we have, that the soul is sick, right? That there's the illness of the soul, and that we need to approach any mental illness, anything that prevents us from growth as part of our work on character traits. It's part of our Avodat Hashem. It's part of getting closer to God. And therefore, we shouldn't separate, mental health from spirituality, from the way we grow in life on the spiritual, physical, emotional, intellectual level. So, when you read the Torah, you see things like Yaakov Avinu, who for 22 years, he was depressed, he was sad. He had the rights too. He thought his son died or disappeared, and he couldn't connect to the Shekhinah for 22 years, right? And we Jews, the Bnei Israel, are all called after Avraham Avinu, so Yaakov Avinu. So if even the greatest of all the Chachamim was dealing with anxiety, stress, sadness, depression, then we have to understand that it's not meant to be something that, we should be scared of, or something that we should hide from. On the contrary, it's something that we need to address as part of as a life, as a human being, and as a Jew, it's our responsibility. And the key really is to find the right place, the right rabbi, the right therapist, the right mentor, the right guide, where one feels safe, one feels accepted, and be able to grow with that help. So we have to understand that we are all great, and we each time, every morning, we wake up and say, "Elokai neshama shenatata bi teora hi." God, the soul you place in me is pure. We are all pure souls. It doesn't matter what we experience. It doesn't matter what we're diagnosed with. We are a pure soul coming this world, and we say it every morning. And yes, there are problems, but your essence, who you are, your natural state should be happiness, should be that I am a great individual. I have great potential. And unfortunately, we get trapped into all the stigmas or whatever happens in our daily life, and we lose touch to our greatness. And that makes us sad. We don't feel happy living and feel I'm different. I have a problem. No, we're all the same. We all have a soul, we all have a body, we all have a brain. And it's just that each one has to work on it differently. The second main point that I want to address is, I don't want to take more time, is that from my experience dealing with my students for my yeshiva, is that a lot of them feel that they don't fit in, or because of abuse or things that happen to them, and therefore they're not able to function properly, or just because they're not the type of Jew that the community expects to have. And this exists very much in Israel, it exists here, everywhere, and sometimes it is a religious community or a rabbi or an individual that are going to say a comment that is going to make the child feel like he doesn't belong. So if I don't belong, then I'm disconnecting completely from, I don't belong to Judaism, I don't belong to God. Right? So we live today in a society that where everybody is looking for its own voice, its own individuality. I used to joke many years ago that the main vitamin is Prozac, because there's so much sadness, so much struggle in being happy as a human being. Every week, every month, there's a new book on how to be happy. Why do we struggle so much with happiness? Because we are not necessarily taught to be our own individual, and that being an individual, being a black sheep is okay. It's also being part of the sheep, right? And usually those black sheep are the greatest. All the greatest rabbis were kind of black sheep. The books of the Rambam were burned. The Ramchal was put in Cherem. I mean, all types of things, all the greatest leaders, because they were different, because they thought different. So as soon as someone is going to be different in the way he thinks, in the way he behaves, in the way he feels, in the way he is religious, all of a sudden, it becomes a stigma. We become attacked, and we feel judged. And there are thousands of kids, as I speak, who need to feel that someone loves them just for who they are. Not for how religious they are, not for how good they can learn the Gemara, not for how, what type of white shirt or kippah they wear. And this destroys the kids, because it's all about the extent of trying to fit in. It's the challenge of our people. Two Jews, three opinions. One guy, two shoes, one where he goes, one where he doesn't go. So we know it's part of our roots to you know, argue and filigree and debate, but unless it's done with love, it's done lishma, it's done with rahmanut, we destroy our kids and their soul, the brightness of the soul. So I think one of the things that I want to make clear is that we have to learn to be, appreciate to be unique, appreciate to be different. We are all souls. The body looks the same as the head. Every soul is a diamond that is unique, right? And unless we learn to appreciate each diamond, right? You take an expert in diamond, he's gonna recognize, yeah, this is the full diamond, this is this one, this is that type of, each soul is different. And unless we're able to see each one's uniqueness and teach that to ourselves and to our kids and to our friends, and speak in the language of openness, of recognition, so that each one can feel safe to share, I'm struggling with this, I'm struggling with that. Can I talk to you? Of course, I love you no matter how religious you are, I love you no matter how healthy you are, I love you no matter what your problem is, because you're unique and you deserve to be heard for your own uniqueness. And I think if we can just focus on that and grow that message in the community and expand with the health provider and with the support that we can have, then people will come and be more open to speak, because it'll be a zchut, it'll be a merit for me to go speak and deal with my issue. It'll be an opportunity for growth. It'll be an opportunity to come close to Hashem. It'll be something positive, not something I have. Yeah, I'm going to a therapist. No, I have a therapist, and I'm proud of it. So, God willing, we should have, Hashem bless everyone with physical, mental, emotional, spiritual health, and He should bless the community, that we should find the right support, and the support should expand so that everyone can feel that he belongs, and can all get close to each other and God.
Everyone, please welcome to the stage my sister and co-founder of Yesodot, Dan.
Thank you, everyone, for tonight, coming here together. I actually want to say that it was a big deal for Michael to come up here and speak about his story. And I think we should all give him one more round of applause. That is the exact definition of what breaking stigma is.
That's right.
And that's what we're here to talk about today. Stigma is when someone sees you in a negative way just because of your mental illness. Social stigma and discrimination can make mental health problems worse and stop a person from actually seeking help. I think you can agree that stigma did that, as you said up here. We can't make one another feel wrong for being different, just like Brother just mentioned. I think it's so important that we have to realize the uniqueness of each individual is exactly what we're supposed to embrace in one another. Because mental illnesses are not as concrete as physical illnesses, they are often not taken as seriously. But let me tell you, we are wrongfully mistaken on that. Just because we can't see what the individual is going through. This pain and struggle is very real, if not worse. Stigma often comes from a lack of understanding and from an inaccurate representation. As we heard tonight, I'm going to repeat again. Stigma is real, and it has and plays a contributing factor into the way of our daily living. A disease is not, a dis-ease is not something you cannot see, but rather it is something you cannot touch. We have to remember that people who are struggling are going to be able to get the help that they need by support from their community. One of the things I actually want to talk about, Yesodot has been co-founded since 2019. But as we all know, COVID definitely took a nice big punch to everybody and to everything that was in terms of programs, in terms of community, in terms of being tight-knit, in terms of all the programs that we have. And I think it's fair to say that aside from COVID coming and taking a big punch into everything, yes, adults still tried to make that wave. Still made that wave by going out there and speaking to the families that needed the guidance and support. And I can't tell you how many families still struggle in silence, in fear of their stories being heard, because they're afraid of what others are going to think. But I cannot tell you how important it is for us to really, really understand what it means to destigmatize mental illnesses. There's nothing wrong with having a problem. Why is it a problem to have a problem? On the contrary, we should be finding solutions. That should be our focus rather than the problem. Problems always come up. Now it's our jobs to make sure that we have the right solutions. Research shows that knowing or having contact with someone with mental illness is one of the best ways to reduce stigma. Individuals speaking out and sharing their stories can have a positive impact. When we know someone with mental illness, it becomes less scary and more real and relatable. There's nothing to fear about mental illness. I promise you, it is not contagious. You know, a lot of people say, is it something that actually is in your genes? Is it something that you actually get carried from one generation to the next generation? No. As a matter of fact, it's childhood traumas. It's our childhood traumas that we don't get over. We don't speak about them because we're afraid of the reactions, even those around us, like our parents and our siblings, friends and loved ones. It is the scariest thing for people to come face to face with their challenges and their quote unquote demons. They're not demons and they're not challenges. You know, last time I checked, even broken crayons color. So it's okay to be a little broken because we still can color. So the poetry class. 7 things you can do to reduce stigma. Know the facts, educate yourselves, pick up books that actually can make you feel more confident about knowing about the subject, aware about the subject, and attend workshops just like these. I think we're going to see, God willing, many more to come, so that people can feel safe to know that it's okay to talk about this on an open platform, so that others who are suffering in silence won't feel like it's a shame to come out and talk about their problems. A lot of times what we don't realize is that mental illnesses have co-occurring disorders. And even those co-occurring disorders are very much shunned, such as eating disorders, domestic violence, and substance abuse. Those are all facets of what happens when someone doesn't get the help that they need when it comes to mental illness. Step 2 for 7 things you can do about reducing stigma: be aware of your attitude and your behavior. I think we touched upon that, and even Rabbi Block mentioned Robin Williams' famous quote. We have to remind ourselves that we are humans and we must be kind, because that's exactly what we are. Being aware of your attitude and behavior also allows people to understand that we care for one another. And that's exactly what we want to make sure we present to each other. It's our job as Klal Yisrael, it's our job as Jews, and it's our jobs as people. Choose your words carefully. Don't assume that that person is as strong as you are, or compare them to somebody else. Or like Michael mentioned, be a man. What does that mean? What kind of definition does that actually give that person? What does that actually tell them? Are they wrong for experiencing the feelings that they're experiencing? Are they bad for going through that? No. The answer is absolutely not. Educate others. How can we educate others? Letting them know about resources is one. Showing them where to get to those resources is another. And talking. Talk and talk and talk and talk some more. There's nothing wrong with speaking out. Focus on the positive. What does that mean? We want to make sure that when someone is going through challenges, stop talking to them about how they're doing what they're doing wrong. Stop telling them that this is the way they should be doing it instead. On the contrary, pat them on the back and tell them that they're doing amazing. Give them the chizuk to keep going, so that when they go back home and they look at themselves in the mirror, they're happy to see the reflection that's staring right back at them. Support one another, support one another, and support one another. Inclusion. We must include everybody. We are not all different from one another because we are all the same, but we are unique because we all have fingerprints that are unique to ourselves. Which is where we come in terms of Yesodot's, one of our biggest factors is person-centered approach. We don't take a cookie cutter and we apply the same cookie cutter mold to everybody because nobody is identical to the other. I hope we all learned something tonight and we understand that having a problem is not a problem. Speak up, don't be afraid to speak up. Everyone's here for one another. Yesodot is here for you, and so are the rabbis. Thank you very much.
What acts to follow? My God. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming here tonight. A little louder? That got it. You caught it. Thank you for being here. This means that you've taken the initiative to actually care about caring. Did you hear what I said? You care about caring. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Okay. Scream? No, I can't scream. Here's the thing. So I'm a life coach. A lot of you are probably wondering, what does that even mean? What does a life coach do? Specifically, I focus on youth, teenagers, and young adults in their first years of college. A lot of the times, some of the issues that hold these teenagers and young adults back may resemble each other, but how each person expresses that pain is individual to themselves. Like Rabbi G was saying. Rabbi G, I love Rabbi G. Thank you so much. That was awesome what you said. Here's the thing. So we talked about a lot of stuff tonight. Some of you might be like, where do I go from there? How do I kind of categorize everything? So here's the thing. There's a mind, body, and spirit aspect, a trifecta that we all cover here tonight. Now, when I say trifecta, I'm talking about an angle of three things. A triangle, for example, is the strongest form of a physical structure on this planet. Nothing can destroy that. So when we think about our being, what we're made of as a mind, body, and spirit, that has to do with our connection with our Adam v'Chavero, and then there's Hashem right on top of that. So there's an aspect of how to be neighborly is how you are going to be deemed in the eyes of our Creator. How we treat someone else is how we are deemed in the next realm. Now, to kind of break down the understanding of what mental health is and the idea of stigma, and like there's so many like kind of gray areas when you don't have the knowledge of the vernacular, what to even talk about, what does this all mean? So from a life coach point of view, we're going to break things down, right? We're going to categorize everything, because I think you said there's no such thing as demons. Yes and no, right? But like when you give your demon the name, when you chant it out and you say, I know who you are, you're my issue, you've now taken half the power away from that aspect that was controlling you, that you believed had control over you, right? So we're going to go into the three aspects of how mental health can be perceived from a life coach aspect. We have self-imbalances. Some of us don't know why these things happen. Mike, you had no idea what was going on. It just happened. But you know what? It's not your fault, right? It's not your fault, but it is your opportunity. It was your opportunity. Look at you now, speak and spin. He's doing great because he had a support network. You know how beautiful that is? First of all, he had to fight within himself to believe that it's not a problem to go get help. Having everyone else around him say, dude, you're fine, like, get over it. That didn't help at all either. But kudos to you again, man. Seriously, I respect you a lot for that. Now we have self-medicating, which is a co-occurring issue, but sometimes when you self-medicate, it can lead to mental health issues. Like, seriously, heroin, coke, all these things sit in your brain and they're just eating away at the marrow in your brain. They're eating away at the consciousness. That level of spirituality that we're able to maintain dissipates when we take these things into our bodies, right? So that's that self-medicating aspect. And why do people self-medicate? Because they want to escape. Like Rabbi G said, they want to escape. But escape what exactly? Escape to not feel that I'm not normal. Why are you not normal? You know the word normal is broken down into two words, nor and mal. The word nor means not. Mal can be either as malicious or mal, which means malnutrition, or mal means a lack of something. What are you really not lacking? How do you know what you're not lacking? Nobody knows what they're really not lacking. The word normal is garbage. No one has a norm. Everyone has a level of excitement. They're so heightened. So we have to label things and call it anxiety. When it's not anxiety, you're alive. Be thankful that you can feel alive because you're not dead. Isn't that awesome? Can we give ourselves a round of applause for being alive? All right, then we have the last aspect of mental health from the life coach point of view. We have self-negligence. How dare you neglect yourself? I'm not coming at you. I'm just trying to inform you. And what I mean by self-negligence is there's 3 spheres of control in life. You can control yourself, thank God. You can influence others, if you're nice at it. But you can never, ever, ever control the aspects or the outcomes of someone else, even your parents. So your parents will learn how to parent from their parents' parents, let the cycle keep going of dysfunction. You're expecting some kind of level of, it's my turn now to be the kid, so it has to be different for me. No, it doesn't. It's on you to make things different for you. Your parents came here with the knowledge and the technicalities that they were equipped with based off of what they were able to accumulate. So how can you judge them for not knowing more when you don't take the liberty to know more yourself? So let's stop being mad at others for not giving us the best of what we can't have, but let's be happy for the opportunity for giving ourselves the best that we can have. You hear what I said? Nice. Now we just covered the mental aspect of mental health and the stigma of it, right? So that's that mind aspect. Check. Done with that. Now we go to the body, all right? The body is compiled of signals from the brain to the body. When I said mind and brain, right now I'm saying brain. Mind and brain are 2 different things. The mind has the ability to control the brain. The mind is the conscious level. The brain is the subconscious level. So what I mean by that is, if your mind says to your brain, "Oh, I feel so garbage today. I don't deserve to feel great. I ate bad. I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to." You just talk down to yourself. Your brain just sent a whole bunch of signals to every cell in your body saying we're doing bad. You know how many cells we have in our body? Okay. Cumulatively, we have 724 trillion cells in the body. Thank you, God. What does that mean? The gematria of the number 724 comes out to the Hebrew word arucha, which means healing. Your body is constantly in non-stop mode of healing. But how do you heal if you're always healing? Some part of you has to die. Cells inside of us die daily, but we don't see it, so it can't be. There's nothing wrong with me. It's not a malfunction. It's a process in your body that you were given, which means that the process in the world that you see physically, you were also given, which means the opportunities you were given were for strength. They're not weakness, they're strength. Okay, so relate your physical world to the inside of your body. You don't know what's going on in here, and you don't know what's going on in the mind of others. You only know what's going on up here. All right, you can relate to yourself internally, but if you can't physically emulate what's going on in here, no one will be able to ever know what you're really feeling or saying or doing, because you're not being honest with yourself. Having a problem isn't a problem, like my sister said, like Diana said. Right? Right, guys? Having a problem isn't a problem.
That's right.
Speak to me. I'm talking to you. It's a nice conversation. There's many of you, but it's okay. It's open floor. All right? Having a problem is not a problem. Making a problem into a problem is your problem. All right. Now we're gonna do a little something interesting. Does anyone here know languages other than Russian, Hebrew, and Mahari? Stop it. All right, French.
French.
Yeah, we know. We heard it in the little je ne sais quoi.
Oui,
Oh, oui, okay. No. All right. Can you say this word with me? Repeat. Iki gai. One more time. Last one. All right. In Japanese, that comes out to the word purpose. Why did I use the word in Japanese? It's personal preference. I'm a Japanese fan of some sorts. Okay. Ikigai. All right. This word means purpose. In the word purpose, there's 4 aspects that accumulate to what ikigai means. What does ikigai mean again?
Purpose.
Woo! I got some teammates over here. Okay. Teamwork is what? Dream work, right? Okay, good. Okay. We're on the same page. Purpose. How do we establish purpose? 4 aspects. Ready? Ready to hear it? You have skill added. You have passion. It gives you parnasa. And it benefits the world. If you can find something that accumulates to all 4 of these things, you don't got to search no more. You already found one aspect done in life. Your job, your mission, something that is active for you. If you're not doing something active that you love, you have skill, you have passion, brings you happiness, you're not doing the right thing for you. There's no such thing as good and bad in this world. It's not the right thing for you. It's the wrong thing for you. Good and bad is a mental construct. There's no such thing as good and bad. All right? Hashem's favorite child, angel, we all know the name, I'm not going to say, carries out the deeds daily. We got to give a solid thanks to that guy, because he gives us opportunity upon opportunity. If we miss it, it's our problem. Purpose. We have those 4 aspects. That's one portion of life completed. Now we go to another portion, which is finding your loved one or whatnot. The stigma behind that is if you don't have an accomplishment, you can't access that part of life as well. Slightly true. If you don't have a purpose, that gravitational pull will not be there. So the stigma recreates itself in your inability to find your purpose, right? So if we find that, half of the stigma in our personal lives are gone. Now, we're gonna go into how you can even get to finding your purpose. It takes a little bit of self-work. There's the 3 selves, all right? Do we understand? Now, 3 selves go as follows. Self-acceptance. When you can accept who you currently are, you can now self-reflect upon who you currently are. You guys know what I mean by self-reflection? I don't mean just looking in the mirror and look good. That's not what I mean. What I mean is when you can sit down, you do the resting, man, if you want, I don't know. You can sit down, if anyone knows art, you got that. You can sit down and you can introspect in your mind and be honest with yourself. Say, you know what, today, the way you said hi to that person was so fake. Try and be a little more meaningful next time. And why I bring that up is because somebody in my building just committed suicide 2 days ago. They jumped off the top. Brain splattered everywhere. Very, 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 very heart-wrenching scene. I knew the guy a couple of times. We saw each other. I still cry for the neshama aspect. You know, that's very sad. All the guy needed was someone to talk to. But and that's aside from what I'm trying to say. It's the self-reflection, right? If you can actually think about what you did today with each person that you encountered. We're called human beings. Another word for us is called mankind. We're mankind, not man nice. Right? We're not called man nice. We're called mankind. Being nice is fake. Because you just, hi, how are you today? You walk by. Who needs that? Just say, hey, cut it there and keep moving if that's what you're gonna do. Trying to like you're dangling cheese in someone's face. How are you today? Oh, and you just walk away. How's that right? How is that nice? Right? So you want to be kind. So by block, you took my quote from the Reverend Williams, but I love it. You said it first. But really, what a beautiful quote. That speaks to me on so many levels. And thank you for bringing that to light in the way you did, which allowed me to kind of bring this to point even more now. Kindness is kind of like, wow, you see, kindness is this thing that is innate inside of us, but it's also a level of strength that we have to have. You have to be strong in order to be kind, because being kind is an option. Being nice is something people develop as a character trait to get by in life. Did you hear what I said? To get by in life, not to live life, but to get by in life. Do you want to get by in life, or do you want to live life? Do you want to get by in life, or do you want to live life? Thank you. All right. We just touched up on the mind and body. Now we're going to access how the spiritual aspect comes into all three of these things. Removing stigma on every single level starts with yourself. You can't get love from someone unless you love yourself. Until you realize that you're enough, nothing will ever externally be enough, right? So your stigma starts from you. Before it starts from people, it starts from you. Now, as I mentioned before, 724 trillion cells, that comes out to Arofa, which means healing inside. All right, we covered that. Now, the word human, if you can break down the word, I love doing this, it's called epidemiology. You should all try this sometime. You just break down words, you see the beauty of how things came out to be. The word human, we're gonna break down the word. What? Talk, you said something already.
I didn't say you, but it's like a who man.
Who man, right? Who. But I like how you just said hue, because that was the word I was about to use. The word hue is a version or form of light. That's what the word hue means. What hue is that? No one says that. Like you go to it's an interesting hue. You just say color. No one says hue. But the word hue is a form of light. The word man is short for a being, but also when we understand we're beings of light, the word man can fit into the word manifestation. We are manifestations of a great being of light, which means we can manifest through our being of light. What I'm trying to say is that we're much greater than we realize. So falling towards the stigma of what other people might say, other people who haven't realized their greatness, stunting your own greatness because you want to feel like you're not doing something out of the norm. But remember, there is no such thing as norm. There's just is. So what are you going to be? It's dependent on you and how much you want to achieve, not how much is restricted by what others believe. That kind of rhymed. I like that. All right. So we said MBS, mind, body, and spirit. I basically just touched up on all three, just a little bit to give you an idea of what life coaching is about, how stigma is dissipated with life coaching. I just gave you all a whole bunch of different points of views on something so simple. But that's what we do with life coaching. We break things down. A lot of people ask the question, how can I be happy? What do I do? What do I start with? You definitely don't want to start with waking up and meeting up with your boys and riding around real fast in a nice car, having loud music bumping that's really, really gross to the ears. And it's just, setting everyone's day off in a different kind of way with low vibrations instead of high vibrations. That's not how you achieve happiness. That's how you follow the norm. What does normal mean again? Normal, not lacking. What are we really not lacking? Who knows? So to close out this beautiful event and this beautiful night with all this awareness, I just want to say that, what we provide as an agency is the opportunity to see things in a different way and to accept things in a more open-minded fashion, but yet spiritually grounded, which is why we're so happy to have had Rabbi Goodmacher give his first presentation tonight as a part of our agency. It's just so blissful to have all these different spiritual leaders here tonight. Thank you so much, Rabbi Block. And Mike, again, thank you again. That was beautiful. You set the tone for the evening. And my sister as well, covering the social service aspect of how to understand things. Everything just came together in such perfect unison. But the aspect of what being done here tonight is for you to go home after this night and start talking to other people about it. Be like, hey, yo, did you know what I heard tonight? Da 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 da, so and so and so, blase blase. Oh, I'm sorry. All right, we go with that, right? So that's the next step. Talk about it, spread it. It's like this little flame. Don't be the fire, but be the spark. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. Tonight we have a few political speakers here just to capitalize and let's give us their respect to them. All right. Man, my God. All right. All right.
Good evening, everybody.
Don't keep it. Give it to me. It's got good notes.
Good evening, everybody. Good to be with you tonight. My name is David Aronov. I am running for city council in this district, the 29th district, which covers Rego Park, Forest Hills, Kew Gardens, and Richmond Hill. It's so nice to see so many familiar faces, to be with you all. I see Vicky over there. I haven't seen you in like 10 years. But, talking on the topic of mental health, something that the government and local government can do is fund resources and nonprofit organizations to provide, these resources into the community. And right now, I don't think Forest Hills, Rego Park, Kew Gardens really gets its fair share of these resources because a lot of people aren't talking about this issue, right? Stigma, there's a lot of stigma in the community. And when we don't talk about this issue, even though it exists, we don't get the resources that pour back into the community. So Yes or No, as a relatively new organization, has done a lot of work so far in engaging the community and really working to reduce that stigma. Myself, I'm a co-founder of the nonprofit Bahraini Jewish Union, BJU. And in 2017, we really worked to address the opioid epidemic in the Bahraini community. But we also had a lot of pushback. We had community leaders, we had rabbis, telling us, don't talk about this. This is going to bring great shame to the community. This is not something that we want to advertise. We would want to put up a flyer, about the events that we were going to organize, and not everybody wanted us to put it up, right? They didn't want us to talk about this issue. But you can't sweep something under the rug, right? Because the problem doesn't go away. We understand that some families might be embarrassed, right? As in Russian, they say, but we can't think of it that way because people need help. And a lot of people need help. They don't know where to turn to. But there are resources available. If we talk about it and if we bring it into the forefront, the resources can pour back into the community. So please don't be afraid. Talk about it. Make others feel comfortable talking about it. Because the more that we bring it into the light, the better it'll become and the better that we can address it, right? And we can, reduce feelings of instability and insecurity, and address, different mental health issues that people have in the community. But ultimately also save our community, right? And focus on youth programs, focus on workforce development, focus on our schools, and build up our community and continue prospering. So with that, Diana, Daniel, thank you again. The election, just really quick plug, is June 22nd, Tuesday. Polls are open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Please make your voice heard. This is not only for city council, you're also voting for the next mayor. Do not sit this one out. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Avi Sipperstein coming up as well next. Please, round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me tonight. Thank you for having me tonight. It's a pleasure to be here. A few years ago, about 10 years ago, I worked for a healthcare company, and we had a sales team. The job of the sales team is to bring in numbers, money, patients, referrals. It's a lot of pressure for a lot of people. And one morning we came to the office and we found that one of our teammates had spent the night sleeping in the office, which was strange, but it didn't really raise a flag. But when it happened again the next week, and again the next week, we realized that something was up. And we found out that his wife had asked him not to come home. Why? So it took a while for him to open up, and he finally opened up and admitted that in order to maintain his productive workflow and to continue bringing in the numbers that he needed to keep his job, he was using substances, self-medicating, to run away from his problems at home, and also to keep his stamina going during the day. So he was using uppers during the day to keep him going, and then he would take things at night, and by the time the day was over, he had no energy to drive home. And then eventually his wife told him, don't come home. And she asked him to leave. A family, a father of 6 children. And the problem only got worse. And then he finally opened up to me because he knew that I wouldn't judge him. And of course, I said, you need help. And that was how I got involved with my first mental health case. And since then, we've put many, many people like him into rehab. He, Baruch Hashem, he went to a facility in Florida, got his act together, follows the 12 steps. And to this day, he is alive, he is well, and he's not using anymore. That's a success story. A few months ago, I got a call on a Friday afternoon from my cousin in Rockaway that his friend, who was a known substance user, never too much, but he would smoke a little, pop a pill, drink a little, follow a cycle. Exactly, a little bit here, a little bit there, managed to socially, everything looked great. He was the guy that always walked into the room and had a smile and a little fizuk and inspired people, but no one knew what was really going on the inside. And my cousin called me up on a Friday afternoon. He said, my friend is threatening to commit suicide. We never saw this before. And so we arranged Friday afternoon. We sent a couple of guys over to spend Shabbat with him. They had a great Shabbat and everything was great. And life returned to normal. He went to work on Monday and everything was great. The same thing happened the following Friday. And the same thing happened the following Friday. And the same thing happened the following Friday. By the 5th time, it was hard to get someone to go. Like, every week he's busy at work. And then on Friday, he has to deal with real life and he threatens to do something. And people stop taking it seriously. And then the following Sunday, no one heard from him. And they went to his house and he had overdosed. They found the pills and the bottles and he is no longer with us. Outreach is very, very important. Almost every single person is struggling with something. Every single person doesn't want to be judged. None of us want to be judged, and almost all of us are struggling with something. At the same time, some of us are stronger and able to handle life's stress better than others. And at times we can, and at times we can't. It's hard. We have to remember that the guy sitting next to you, the guy you're talking to in shul, on Shabbat, the guy that you work with can be struggling with something and you'll never know. He might be the happiest guy alive and you'll never know that he's using drugs all day to just get through the day. What?
Masculine.
Yeah. I think it's very important to let people know that you care about them and that you love them and to not judge other people. And it's hard. But if we get to a place where we can train ourselves to realize that we all just want the same things in life. We all just want to be able to go out and enjoy and maybe work hard, some not work so hard, be able to live a good life and be able to serve Hashem and to be free and to be able to be free in our religion, within our religion. That will inspire us and motivate us to go a step further and to reach out to someone even though they haven't reached out. Talk to people. Even if the guy seems to be happy. Is everything okay in life? How are you doing? And if you're struggling, like you said earlier, reach out. The point of judgment is past, meaning we're at a point where we've accepted, we understand that we have a problem. It's not just in our community, it's everywhere. It's in the Jewish community, it's in New York, it's outside America. Everywhere in the world, people are struggling. It seems that the more prosperous we become, the more technology we have, the more information we have access to, the more likely we are to be sad because we don't have all that stuff that other people seem to have. And that's just one part of it. And so what I like to do when I go about the day is I believe that if God puts someone in front of me, it's for a reason. If I'm introduced to someone or if someone comes my way, there's a reason why that happened. And I always try to leave them with a good thought, a good feeling, where I try to find out if there's a way that I can inspire that person. And as I'm going throughout my campaign, I tell people, if I walk away from this conversation either inspired or inspiring you, we've done something productive for the human race. And so that's all I have to share tonight. Let's walk away from every conversation either inspiring someone else or allowing them to inspire us. Like David said, there's a big election coming up. It's a very important election. There's a lot on the table. There's a lot of candidates in this race that are against our Jewish values. And you can go home and do your research. But either way, if you're registered as a Democrat, please vote. If you're not registered, tell your 2 friends to vote. Get them out to vote. There's a new mayor. Hopefully it'll be someone better than we currently have. There's a new position, there's new council positions. Do your homework, do your research, vote for the candidate that will make you happy and that will make our community proud. And it's definitely someone in this room. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thank you guys for coming. That kind of wraps up the event. If anybody wants to speak to me, I'll get to 2 minutes. Get my number, whatever it is.
Thank you guys for was in Zoom. We're concluding. Have a wonderful night.
And, thanks for